Welcome to another TCP walkthrough video. I'm Logan, and in today's video, we're going to be going over planning for funding post-secondary education. And we're going to be doing that the super-fast CPA way, which is diving straight into questions to learn the material. If you don't know much about our strategies, make sure you go to superfastcpa.com and check out our free 1-hour webinar training. We go over the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam, and it will save you so much time struggling with your process. Make sure you go check it out. Also, in this video, we will only be going over 5 questions, but Superfast CPA members will have access to the full 10-question video when we post it in the members forum. So if you like this, you can get more of it and more practice by becoming a Superfast CPA member. With all that said, let's dive straight into the questions. Okay, here is question 1. Which of the following is not a characteristic of 529 plans or qualified tuition programs? Okay, in this video, we're going to be going over a whole bunch of different ways that you can fund post-secondary education. And this first one that we're talking about is 529 plans. If you don't know what those are, that's okay. We're just going to go straight to the answer for this first question to kind of get into it and start learning about it. Okay, so apparently the answer is contributions to 529 plans are federally tax deductible. Okay, so let's read the explanation why that's wrong and learn a little bit more about 529 plans. Contributions to 529 plans are not federally tax deductible, although they may grow tax-free, and withdrawals used for qualified education expenses are exempt from federal tax. Additionally, some states offer tax deductions or credits for contributions on state returns. A 529 plan, also known as a qualified tuition program, is a tax-advantaged savings plan designed to encourage saving for future education costs. These plans are sponsored by states, state agencies, or educational institutions and are authorized by Section 529 of the Internal Revenue Code. So basically, these are special savings plans, kind of savings accounts, if you will, where you invest money, but it grows tax-free, and you can use it for education expenses. And we'll learn a little bit more about it as we go through the video. So let's go ahead and go to the next question. Okay, here is question 2. Why is it generally recommended to secure federal student loans before considering private lenders for educational financing? So it lists a whole bunch of different possible reasons. Federal student loans typically have higher interest rates than private loans, making them more costly. Federal student loans do not require repayment, similar to grants and scholarships. I'm pretty sure that most of us would know that's not true. Federal student loans often offer lower interest rates and more flexible repayment. Federal student loans can only be used for non-educational expenses. Now, reading this, you probably know a lot already about student loans because you probably have them or you probably have some experience with them. So you probably already have an idea of what the answer is. Let's dive into the answer to learn a little bit about student loans. Okay, the answer is federal student loans often offer lower interest rates and more flexible repayment options compared to private loans. We all kind of knew that, so let's read this explanation about federal student loans. Federal student loans are preferred for several reasons. They generally come with lower interest rates compared to private loans, making them less expensive over time. They also offer more flexible repayment plans, including income-driven repayment options that adjust your monthly payments based on your income. Additionally, federal loans offer certain protections like deferment and forbearance, which allow you to temporarily postpone or reduce your payments under specific conditions. Unlike grants, scholarships, or money from 529 plans, both federal and private student loans must be repaid. However, the terms and benefits associated with federal loans typically make them a better first choice for funding education compared to private loans. So this is just another thing that you can use to fund post-secondary education, or in other words, college. As most of us know, federal student loans, if you're going to take loans out for school, are probably better in most cases compared to private loans because they have lower interest and all these benefits that we just went over. So let's go to the next question to learn about another way to fund post-secondary education. Okay, here is question 3. A form of financial aid provided by a state government does not require payment, can only be used for educational expenses, and is awarded based on financial need. What type of aid is this? Okay, is this a scholarship? Is this a grant? Is this a student loan? Or is this a work-study program? Probably not a student loan because we just went over that, but is it the other ones? Go ahead and think about it for a second, and when you're ready to come back, we'll look at the answer together. Okay, the answer is that it's a grant, so let's learn about grants now. A grant is a type of financial aid that does not require repayment and is often awarded on the basis of financial need. Grants can come from federal, state, or local governments, as well as from private sources such as private or nonprofit foundations. They are specifically intended to cover educational expenses and cannot be used for personal expenditures. Unlike student loans, grants do not need to be repaid, and unlike scholarships, which can be merit-based, grants are typically need-based. Work-study programs provide students with part-time employment to help finance their education, but require work in exchange for money, differing significantly from grants. So again, if you've had any experience with grants, FAFSA comes to mind. It's basically free money that the government or somebody is giving you that you don't have to pay back, and it has to be used for educational expenses. So we learned a little bit about grants there. Now let's go to the next question. Okay, here is question 4. Which statement best distinguishes scholarships from grants? Okay, we just learned about grants. So from what you know about grants that we just learned and also what you know about scholarships, you could probably figure this out. So go ahead, pause the video, read through the responses, and when you're ready, come back, we'll look at it together. Okay, B is the correct answer. Scholarships are generally awarded based on merit, such as academic or athletic performance, whereas grants are typically based on financial need. We just talked about this, so let's read about it a little bit more. Scholarships and grants are both forms of financial aid that do not require repayment. However, they differ primarily in their criteria for awarding. Scholarships are often merit-based, given to academic achievements, talents, affiliations with various groups, or other personal characteristics. Grants, on the other hand, are usually need-based and are awarded to individuals who demonstrate financial necessity. Neither scholarships nor grants need to be repaid, making them valuable resources for students seeking to finance their education. One more difference I want to mention here: scholarships are often slightly more restricted in their uses compared to grants, as they are typically designated for specific educational costs like tuition and fees. Grants, on the other hand, may offer broader flexibility, covering a wider array of expenses including textbooks, room and board, and sometimes even personal living expenses. Now, just letting you know, scholarships can sometimes cover like textbooks and fees and things like that, but they don't usually cover room and board and definitely don't cover personal living expenses. All right, we just looked at the difference between scholarships and grants a little bit, so let's go to the next question. Okay, here we are at question 5. When planning to finance post-secondary education, why is it recommended to consider scholarships, grants, student loans, and 529 plans? So all the things we just barely went over, we learned a whole bunch of different benefits and what they are. Why would you choose these over something else when you want to fund post-secondary education or college? So think about it. Think about what you learned from the previous 4 questions, and when you're ready, come back. We'll look at the answer together. And the answer is B. They provide a structured approach to education financing with benefits such as potential tax advantages, non-repayment options, and tailored repayment plans. So let's read a bit more about this. This answer underscores the importance of using a combination of financial tools when planning for post-secondary education costs. Scholarships and grants offer the benefit of not needing repayment, making them highly desirable. Student loans, particularly federal ones, come with relatively low interest rates and flexible repayment options compared to other types of loans. Meanwhile, 529 plans offer tax advantages that can significantly lower the cost of saving for college. Each of these options contributes to a comprehensive strategy for managing the financial challenges of higher education, making them ideal for inclusion in any student's financial planning. So basically what we've learned throughout this whole video, again, we learned about 529 plans, student loans, grants, scholarships, all these different ways you can fund your post-secondary education. And the thing that you should know about this is when you're planning for this or helping somebody plan for this, it's important to look at all the options. What scholarships are available? What grants are available? Did somebody contribute to a 529 plan? And then what are the student loans? Trying to exhaust all these different options before doing something else, which might not be as beneficial compared to these. All right, we went through 5 questions. These are fairly simple topics. You might just kind of know about them from day-to-day life anyway. So before we go any further, let's do one more part of the process called pillar topics. Now, the idea behind pillar topics is as you're going through the questions to learn the material, you will notice the things that keep popping up in the questions. These are the topics or the equations that you've seen 4 or 5 times throughout different questions, and you know that they're important because you keep seeing them, so you make pillar topics on them so that you can remember them for later. So let's go ahead and look at the pillar topics for this video. Okay, here are the pillar topics. First off, qualified tuition programs, commonly known as 529 plans, are tax-advantaged savings plans designed to encourage saving for future education costs. They are sponsored by states or educational institutions and offer significant tax benefits, although contributions are not federally tax deductible. Scholarships are financial awards given to students based on merit, such as academic achievement, athletic skills, or other specific criteria. We kind of all already know that. They do not require repayment, making them a highly beneficial option for reducing education costs without incurring debt. Now, grants are typically need-based financial aids provided by federal, state, or private entities to help cover the cost of education. Like scholarships, grants do not require repayment, which can significantly ease the financial burden on students. And then finally, that dreaded thing, but something that most people have, student loans. Student loans are borrowed funds that must be repaid, often with interest, but they usually offer lower interest rates and more flexible repayment terms than private loans. Again, this video is kind of going over things that a lot of us just naturally know through experience in life, but the idea was to make sure that you know the differences and make sure you know the different advantages compared to not using these when you want to fund post-secondary education. And with that, that's everything we wanted to go over in this video. Again, we only went over 5 questions in this video, but Superfast CPA members will have access to the full 10-question video when we post it in the members forum. So if you like this, you can get more of it by becoming a Superfast CPA member. And along those lines, make sure you go check out our free Superfast CPA training webinar on superfastcpa.com. We go over the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam. It's something you don't want to miss. Again, it's only 1 hour, it is free, and we will teach you how to pass the CPA exam. If you like this video, make sure to like it and leave a comment. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.